My Penguin Friend is a new drama family film that is now out in theaters, and probably you have not heard of this film as there really has been no marketing whatsoever. But what did I ultimately think about this film, and is it worth your time? Well, stick around and let's talk about it. After being rescued from an oil spill, a little lost penguin transforms the life and soul of a heartbroken fisherman. The penguin and the fisherman become unlikely friends, so bonded that even the vast ocean cannot divide them. The film stars Reno, Adriana Barraza, Nicolas Francella, and Alexia Moyano, and was directed by David Schurmann, and have never seen any of his previous works. My Penguin Friend. Now, I did see a few trailers going into this film, and ultimately after watching those trailers, my first thought was, okay, this is going to be a very generic family film. We kind of know that it's going to be filled with maybe some tears, it's going to have some happy moments, maybe some drama. You know exactly to expect from a story like this, very beat for beat. We've seen it many of times. So that's really my analysis going into this film. I really didn't have high expectations. I just thought, okay, this is probably going to be an okay film at best. Maybe I'll love it. Maybe it's a one-time watch. So those were my thoughts going into this film. Now this film, it starts off with a character played by Reno. Now, I've seen him in a couple films. I've seen him most notably in Leon the Professional when I was a little kid, and recently Couples Retreat, but honestly, I haven't seen him in anything else, so it's been a long time since I've seen him on screen, and that was the biggest draw for me to go into this film. The film starts off with this young father and son. They're going on this fishing trip. A storm is approaching, and there is this big wave that ends up knocking the son off the boat, and he ends up drowning. The story then fast forwards 2 years later, and then Reno is older at this point. A different actor plays him in the younger years, obviously. Him and his wife are living on the beach in Rio, and one day he sees this penguin that is struggling in the water. There is an oil spill that's happened, and he rescues this penguin. He cleans him up. He has a home for him. He's feeding him all this kinds of different foods and such, and we see this penguin just kind of come and go. Now, he ends up migrating to Argentina, and I learned that Argentina, like if you want to drive from Rio to Argentina, it's a 40-hour drive, which is absolutely insane to me because, again, I don't really know a lot about South America, but just knowing that just right off the bat, that's crazy that a penguin would go back and forth from Rio all the way to Argentina. And when he goes to Argentina, he's migrating with all these other penguins. There's some marine biologists there that are actually studying them. They're studying their habitat and just seeing how they're just really interacting with each other and just studying their habits overall. Now, from this movie, I can say from a positive standpoint that if you love animals, especially penguins, you're going to absolutely love this. I did like a unique perspective that they put in this film, and really where you have the penguin and you have like a certain vision of the penguin where you kind of see it through his eyes. It was something a little bit different. You know, you don't see that really in movies very often, so that was really cool. I did learn that there was 10 different penguins that played the penguin here. Now, they gave the name of this penguin Din Dim, which apparently this little girl named him that, but apparently she mispronounced a Portuguese word for penguin, and so that's the name that she came up with. But I thought it was really interesting the fact that 10 different penguins actually played him. I mean, I wouldn't have noticed just from the features and everything, from the penguins and everything like that. I thought that was pretty cool. So in that aspect, I think there is a mix here because I think in one aspect you have real penguins actually playing in this movie, but you also do have some CGI moments as well, which I kind of expected. You just kind of expect that in a film like this. Cinematography was actually done pretty well. I don't know a lot about South America, and the fact that we get to actually see South America here. I believe they did film this in Rio, and I do believe Argentina as well. So that was cool to see like how their beaches are compared to like Florida. Their beaches are completely different from Florida. So it was just really interesting to really see that on screen. And then seeing the bond with Reno and this penguin. Obviously, he lost his son at a younger age, and just seeing him just really take care of something again, and just seeing that love and bond, and just really seeing him just really happy at that point because, you know, losing a loved one, especially your son, and then you getting this penguin that just kind of comes up to you and you have somebody to actually take care of again. it's just something that was really cool to see on screen. I think overall, though, for me, as a problem for this film is I did think that the music at times was just a little bit too dramatic. There isn't a lot of drama in this film. It really is just seeing the penguin really bond with this guy and really just not really much else going on. You know, the town really loves this penguin. We see him go a little bit viral, like he goes on YouTube and they talk about how he migrates back and forth, which is absolutely extraordinary. But when it really comes to any conflict or really any big narrative to this film, it doesn't really have it. We see him go off to Argentina. He meets these marine biologists. You know, they're studying him, like I said, but there's little conflict that does come up in which it gets solved rather quickly and it never really gets revisited again. But overall, from a narrative standpoint, I don't think there's a lot of eventful things really happening in this film. There's a few little things in here with the penguin in which he does fall and trip and we think that he may be hurt, but there's not really anything else in this film where there's just a lot of events that are really unfolding as the film goes on. At times I felt the lighting in here was just a little bit too bright. It felt like there were times where they were using a different kind of camera and it felt kind of cheaply made. And then there were other times where the lighting was simply fine, and I think the shot composition and the way they filmed other parts were simply fine. So I don't know if they use two different cameras here or they use different kind of lighting, but it was a little bit mixed mesh in that area for me. So I was very mixed on how they actually shot this film at times and then adding the lighting as well. I think overall this is a film that families can go and they can watch. It's a harmless film for kids. There's no cursing in it. The only scary event maybe for the little kids maybe would be the little boy that actually drowns in the beginning of the film. But other than that, it's a pretty harmless film overall. As far as the score for me, I would give it a 2.5 out of 5. It's an okay film. I wanted a little bit more narrative. Again, there's not a lot of conflict in here. It's a pretty straightforward film that, you know, you can really enjoy the fact that the penguin is on screen here and there's some sentimental moments. But other than that, for me, it just isn't something that I would go and rewatch again over and over or anything like that. I would say overall, I think this is a film that you probably should watch at home rather than rush to watch the theater. I think also too with the narrative itself, because there isn't a lot, I think this would be better as a documentary rather than a 90-minute film overall. Let me know in the comments, what did you guys think about it? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you just think it was kind of meh? And if you haven't checked it out, are you going to check it out at a theater or are you going to wait for streaming or VOD? Thank you guys for watching as always, and I will see you guys next time.